I'm so excited for this upcoming 2022 thru hiking season to begin. Although I'm not planning a long distance hike this year, I'm really excited for everyone who is, especially everyone who's setting off on their first ever thru hike and people getting out on the Appalachian Trail. And it's just an exciting time, and I'm also excited for all the thru hikers to start posting their thru hike videos this year because I love watching them on YouTube, and now that I'm not on a thru hike myself, I have more time to sit down and watch other people on their journeys. If you have any suggestions on people to follow this year, please let me know them in the comments. I've posted quite a few gear list videos on my channel on all the gear that I had on my Appalachian Trail thru hike. And this one video in particular I noticed a lot of people have been watching recently, and that one is all the gear changes I made on my thru hike. Because if you know me, I love buying gear, I love swapping gear out and trying different things. So I think people were really interested in all the gear changes I made on my thru hike. So that video is doing well. But in this video, I got the idea to kind of do the opposite and make a video about all the gear that I carried for my entire thru hike. So the gear that I started with in Georgia and carried all the way to Maine. And that says a lot for me because, like I just said, I love swapping gear out. So the gear that I decided to carry my entire thru hike, I think is pretty solid gear, and I would definitely recommend. So I just watched my post-trail gear video on YouTube, and I took out my notebook and I made a note of every single piece of gear I carried my entire thru hike. I got it all together right here, and I'm gonna go over that gear list with you. So starting out, I carried the same watch my entire thru hike. It was the Garmin Vivo Active 3. I don't have it anymore because I sold it when I upgraded to the Corals Apex, but I loved having a sports activity tracking watch. If you've seen any of my vlogs, you probably saw me wear this Survivor buff. I wore it every single day of my thru hike, to the point where I almost didn't recognize myself if I wasn't wearing this. Out of all my buffs, this was kind of like the softest and the nicest material, and I just liked having a bright orange color. I also carried the same pair of hiking shorts my entire hike. This is a lightweight pair of shorts from Old Navy with the built-in underwear. I also really liked having a bright pattern material because I think the busy pattern made them look a little less dirty, or at least that's what I thought in my mind. But super comfortable and breathable and cheap. You can get these for like 10 bucks sometimes. I don't think this counts for carrying them from Georgia to Maine because I did have to swap them out once, and that's the Hygiene toe liner socks. They did wear through halfway through my thru hike and I had to replace them, but these are something that I wore every single day under my Darn Tough socks to help prevent blisters. And also every day I wore these gaiters from Ultra. They clip onto your shoe and go over your ankle, and the main purpose for these is to help prevent any rocks or dirt from getting into your shoes, so you don't have to like empty them out while you're hiking. I love these trekking poles. I had these my entire thru hike. They are so like heavy duty. They never broke. They never gave me any problems, and they're just so comfortable with a really nice strap, a really nice handle. They are not ultralight trekking poles, so if you're looking for an ultralight version, these probably aren't for you, but if you're looking for like a really durable and reliable pair of trekking poles, I got these from REI. This is also something that I don't know if it counts, but I'm gonna include it in this video. It's my Katadyn Be-Free water filter. This was my preferred water filtration my entire thru hike. I started the trail with this 3-liter bag, and towards the end I was using a 1-liter bag, but my method of water filtration remained the same the whole time. And I went through about 3 of these water filters. They come out of the bags and look like this. Typically replace them when they got slow, because when these are brand new, it filters water so fast and you just get kind of like used to it. This is my rain jacket that I had my whole thru hike. It's the Z-Pax Virtus. I did make a whole video about this with my post-trail experience and kind of a review, so you can watch that. lot to learn more about this, but this rain jacket was really light and really comfortable. It didn't feel like a bulky rain jacket, so I really enjoyed having this on days it rained, but also on days it was like windy and cold. For every piece of gear I'm talking about in this video, I will put a link in the description box so you can check it out. You can read more about it, see the specifics, the weight, the price, all that. So I made it easy for you guys, just look below. So because I was vlogging my thru hike, I decided to take a tripod with me, and I really enjoyed having this. I used it all the time. Attached to the top is a clamp to put my phone in. They are not sold together, they're two different companies, but I really liked having this and keeping it kind of like in the water bottle pouch on the side. But since the trail, I recently found out a new tripod, which is so much smaller. So if I was doing the trail again, I would probably take a smaller tripod. It almost weighs nothing. I definitely did not have the same backpack my whole thru hike, but my attachments on the backpack stayed the same. I would take them off and transfer them to every new pack I got. On my right, I had this pouch from Gossamer Gear. This is where I kept my phone. It zippered closed to keep it safe. It also had a little like mesh pocket on the outside. I could put trash in it, headphones in it. That was really helpful. And on the other side, I had a pouch to put like a water bottle. I got this one off Etsy. It's pretty worn out at this point. I've taken it on so many miles. Something that was really important to me on my thru hike was having easy access to things like my phone and my water, so I wouldn't have to take my backpack off while I was hiking to access the things I needed. You've probably also noticed this bandana, which was always kind of attached to the side of my backpack or somewhere on my backpack. I would use this when it was cold to blow my nose, when it was hot to wipe my sweat. It was just really handy to have. Something I would never want to long distance hike without is this Kula cloth, and it's just a pee rag, and I just enjoy having this. I've tried not using a pee rag before, and now that I own this, I don't think I can go back. This is my Petzl Bindi headlamp. I really enjoyed this. It's probably the most ultralight headlamp you can get. It's rechargeable. There was a little section of trail that I left this in my mom's car and I had to go without it for a couple weeks, but that wasn't intentional, so this is a piece of gear that I consider having my whole thru hike. It does have the really thin straps. People will like this because it saves weight as opposed to a thick strap around your head, but I like the really thin strap so it can pack up really small and just put it in my hip belt pocket. I don't have my same food bag that I had with me on the Appalachian Trail anymore because it got really old and worn out and the button broke off, so I threw it away. That was from Hilltop Packs. It was custom printed. It had a picture of me and my dog on it. I loved it, but since then I got a new bag from Hilltop Packs. Very colorful, very bright. I like the idea of having a different food bag on the trail, especially if you're in a crowded camp. Yours will be easy to spot. If you get to a camp where there's a bunch of food bags in a bear box, it's nice to have yours stick out a little bit. Also, it might be easier to see it up in a tree if you hang your food. I noticed a lot of people on trail had the same exact food bag from Z-Packs. It's a nice ultralight food bag, but they're just very plain, and I think getting a bag from Hilltop Packs is a little more fun. You can customize it. I also had this bag from them that I had on my entire thru hike. This is just a little waterproof bag where I would keep my toiletries, my electronics, and all the little things that I had on my thru hike that I just didn't want thrown around in my backpack getting lost. So I'm actually really surprised about this, but I had the same food bag rope my entire thru hike. This is just a cheap one from Walmart, but what I did was opened it up and there was like an inner of this rope that I just pulled out to make this a lot lighter, and it's still really strong. So I would recommend doing that. That was really nice. And I also got the rucksack from Z-Packs. I didn't care if everyone had the same rucksack as me. I did end up having the same titanium spork my whole hike. I feel like this is a piece of gear that hikers will sometimes lose, but I'm also proud of myself for having this my entire hike because I am somewhat of a forgetful person. I did lose a lot of my tent stakes though. Oh, stake went in the middle again. Also in my kitchen set I had this rag my entire hike to just kind of like clean up my kitchen stuff, my pot, my food, anything that spilt. I really liked this as opposed to just a bandana because it has like a texture to it. It really came in handy for cleaning things up, and it's antimicrobial, I believe, so maybe a little more sanitary than just a cleaning bandana. One of my favorite pieces of gear, my puffy jacket. I definitely had this my entire thru hike because you never really know when it's gonna get really cold. I would never trust the weather enough to be without a puffy jacket. I think it's just a really safe thing to have. This is from Enlightened Equipment. I've probably talked about this a lot on my channel, but it's very lightweight, but will keep you really warm. I carried this Swiss Army knife my entire hike. This specific Swiss Army knife I definitely recommend for a thru hike because not only is it a knife, but it has the toenail clippers, it has scissors and tweezers, which are all tools that I think could come in handy on a thru hike, and you don't have to carry like a separate set of toenail clippers. For a couple of electronics, I carried this wall charger from Anchor to charge my devices in town. It had 2 USB ports and quick charging, which is good if you're not in town for a while, but I did go to town a lot, so if I was doing a trail again, I don't think I would get something as big and heavy duty as this. They make dual port wall chargers that are a lot smaller, so I would probably recommend just doing that. Also, for charging my devices, I had 2 separate battery banks, a 13,000 milliamp one and a 5,000 milliamp one. I liked this strategy because if the bigger one ran out of battery, I always knew I had like an emergency smaller one that I could almost get a full charge on my phone with, and if I started using this, I would know it's time to go to town. Also proud of myself for having the same mini Bic lighter my entire thru hike. I never lost it. You can get a pack of like 5 mini Bic lighters from Amazon, which I did before my thru hike, and they're just really good to have. It lasts the whole thru hike, and you don't really need a full-size one. The mini's just fine. This is the bag that I put all my clothes in to keep them dry, and also towards the end of my hike it ended up being my pillow. I would stuff all the clothes I wasn't wearing in this, and I would also wrap my buff around it, and it ended up being a good soft pillow. I absolutely loved having my down booties on my hike. No matter if it was hot or cold, I always wore them. They were just really comfortable to wear inside of my sleeping bag, which I did end up carrying the same sleeping bag my whole thru hike. It is the Enlightened Equipment Convert 10 degree bag. I made a whole video about this as well. That will be linked in the description of this video. For the time frame that I hiked in from February to June, I think a 10 degree bag was a good choice for me. It kept me warm when I started the trail in February, and it did get warm towards the end of my hike, but I always liked having a low degree rating for my sleep system just so I could be comfortable and safe and not have to worry about getting cold. I found these little lip gloss tubes on Amazon. One tube I put concentrated camp soap, and the other had sunscreen in it. I didn't use these that often, but they were good to have. The soap I really used to clean my pot while I was in town, and the sunscreen I just used a drop or 2 on my face on days it was sunny, but I never really ended up needing it that much or getting burnt. It was usually cloudy or I was under trees or whatnot. This is kind of like a luxury item I had on my hike. It's a little hairbrush. It's a mini one. It doesn't weigh much, but it's just a treat for me to have nicely brushed hair. I don't like not having brushed hair, so this was something for me that was kind of non-negotiable. Another luxury item were camp shoes. I carried these for most of my thru hike, but when I had about a week left of my hike, I was able to check the weather forecast, and I saw that it was going to be warm and it wasn't going to rain at all. So I decided to ditch those the last 100 or so miles because I think camp shoes were the best to have either when it was raining at camp and you wanted to take off wet shoes, or in town. And at that point on my thru hike, neither of those were going to happen. So I didn't carry these the last 100 miles, but I think I am glad that I carried camp shoes on my whole thru hike. But if I were to do it again, I think I would find a lighter pair of flip-flops because these are lightweight. These are like the Z Trail Zero shoes, I think, but I think you can get lighter than this. This might be a little embarrassing because I use this my entire thru hike and I still use it day to day in my life post trail, and that is a ultralight wallet. This one's very minimal. It's from Chums. I carried stuff on trail like cash, cards, driver's license, and I just liked having this to keep it all together. And the last thing I carried for my entire thru hike is a phone. This is the Galaxy Note Ultra 20, something like that. I got this phone specifically for my thru hike because the camera was really nice. I think it shot good videos, and it has a pretty big screen, which was good for editing my YouTube videos and just watching YouTube videos and movies whenever I wanted on trail. So that is the complete list of every piece of gear that I carried for my entire thru hike. I think it's pretty awesome that people who are planning their first thru hike in 2022 are watching my videos to help them prepare. I think it's awesome that posting my experience on YouTube is helping and inspiring other people. That's really cool to hear. People have been commenting and telling me that, so it just makes me smile. So if you're planning a thru hike in 2022, I wish you the best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions. I could make some more videos about this or just answer them in the comments. And I hope everyone has a good day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.